I'm a Tonechaser. That thing you hear in your head that you just can't quite get.
Did your dad record records? He used to get live on the radio in Holland, and I'm sure he's done some records, but it was 20 more years ago. And he kicked shit on Billy Goodman and all them motherfuckers all put together. Did your dad meet those guys? They were over here, he was in Europe. But he was a bad motherfucker. Did your dad write? That's the thing. That's a big part. Very big part. But still, I think it's more important for me to have my dad go, I like that. Anyone else. Anyone else. It's including you, my wife, the rest of the band, with my mother, my dad, who likes something that I do. I cry because I'm so happy that he likes it. That's how much pleasing him. I'd love for you to put that. What stuff does your dad like? Cathedral. He showed her moving guitars on a new album. He loved dancing in the streets. Because he was a synthesizer that do. You know, she says that's what makes it groove. You know, kind of like other records. Did you like the guitar solos? Oh yeah. I mean the eruption. Spanish Fly was his title. Really? Came home, played it for him, and he was joking. He said, "Hey, Spanish Fly." I said, "Alright." No, really. That was my father's idea. Called Spanish Fly. He's one of the guys. If anyone can be called one of the time, he is. It's certainly that you'd be able to have that much success, and he would be here to see it. But you're really very lucky. That man strikes. I don't know what's going to happen to you when you kick the butt. You might see me go nuts. No, I don't know what I do. I think you're strong. I can cry in 1 second just thinking of my father dying. You know, my mom was sick. And you don't know what my father's done for us. He's done everything for me. Yeah, he's certainly done everything. He's been a janitor. He's been everything. With talent. 15 years ago, whatever it was, we came to this goddamn country. Our fucking family didn't help us one goddamn bit. You're supposed to be our sponsors, you know. Get us a place to live. Get our father a job. My mother's side of the family. That's why we came here. They were supposed to help us, you know, sponsor us, get my father a job, and this and that. My father used to fucking have to walk 3 miles to wash dishes at Arcadia Methodist Hospital. Then he got a little better job, working midnight to 8 in the morning in a machine shop, and during the day working for the phone company as a janitor. I guess he is definitely inspiration. I'm sorry, I guess I'm emotional. Go with that thing. It's just, it all relates to when I just got done talking about Rudy with. I mean, I just realized that I gave Rudy $6,000 in 1 year's time. And my father made less than that a year and raised a family. My father used to make goddamn $100 a week. I think he might have made a little over $200 a week till the day we fucking retired. Do you have any sisters, do you? Just the two of you? Just me and Al, my mom and my dad.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? So here we are at the end of the Like Father, Like Son chapter. There was a bit that I left out. Edward was speaking about his mother, and I didn't even want to repeat those words. But if you've read the book, you know what Edward said. And if you haven't read the book, and you'd like to, please go check it out at tonechaserbook.com, or you can find the book on Amazon and eBay if you're so inclined. So I'm just going to read through to the end of the chapter here, and we'll be through with this little section here. So here we go. For those of you following along, we're on page 188, the note section. Note: Edward reached over and shut off the cassette player himself. I knew he did that because there was no pre-warning about turning off the tape, and I would never have stopped recording on my own. That was another one I desperately wished I had back. What I'm trying to say there is, even though Edward shut off that tape, I wish he hadn't done that. I believe he would have really dug down deep and talked about his mother a little bit more. So anyway, here we go. Note on note. About 3 years after this interview, when I was in the thick of working on the Van Halen biography in 1986, I remembered asking Edward several times to arrange a time when I could sit down with his parents and talk to them. That was critical, so I bugged him regularly. When his father passed on December 9th, 1986, he asks, "Did you talk to my dad for the book?" Honestly, that bothered me. Edward honestly probably had forgotten that I'd asked many times to interview his family, his father, his mother. And again, I write about it. I wished I had pushed harder. Those would have been absolutely germane to his story and his upbringing and why he was the way he was and who he was and what kind of a person he would turn into. But no, I never had the chance to interview either parent. So continuing. I told him I hadn't because he had never set it up. He was hurt and regretful. Maybe I should have pressed him harder and tried to make him understand how important those conversations were, but it wouldn't have helped. Subsequently, I did everything I could to impress upon him the gravity and import of the book, but my pleas ultimately fell on deaf ears. Even though Edward had talked about me speaking to his dad, and he knew how important that was, when I sort of took the other side of that conversation, I said, "Ed, can't you see how important this book is and how important it will be?" He could not understand that. And he would always tell me, "Well, now's not the right time. I don't feel comfortable doing it now." And it was his life, and I had to respect that. But maybe I should have pushed harder. I don't know. I'll be forever questioning myself about that. Continuing, final note. That conversation about his dad and family was the deepest I'd ever gone with Edward. Certainly it was the most inward-looking and personal, since I really hadn't known that much about his early life or relationship with his parents or any of that stuff. I truly wanted to know who he was before he became that famous guitar player. Didn't you want to know? Didn't you want to know what a little Edward Van Halen was, and what was he like in elementary school, and how was he with Alex around the house, and was he mischievous, and was he always into music, or was he, riding his bicycle, or was he, running around town, was he running around with friends? I mean, all those things that we'll never know. And it's a shame, and it's the loss of something which we can never get back, right? So, finishing up, I told you earlier that every minute spent with him was done so in a state of heightened awareness. In other words, I never forgot, or rather could never ignore, the surreal reality of talking to Edward Van Halen. Strangely, though, when we exchanged that intimate dialogue you just read, I felt entirely at ease. I did, because it was talking about family and mothers and fathers and the loss of a parent, and we all understand that. And it wasn't Edward Van Halen. It was just this other human being, who was going through the desperate pain of losing a parent, and we've all felt that, and that connects us all, right? Maybe it was because I wasn't addressing him as Edward the musician, but rather as Edward the son. I don't know. Certainly every child in the world has sought respect and admiration from her parents, and with that it was no different. The receiving his father's approval was of critical importance and one of the most powerfully motivating elements in his life. With all that said, I can tell you we were both intensely in touch by the exchange of words. That was not meant to sound like some soppy soap opera or maudlin made-for-TV movie where the two main characters reached some breakthrough cathartic moment. We were both drunk and words were slurred and thoughts muddied. But still, it was a pretty fucking great crossroads, and I came to understand a whole lot about who Edward was inside his heart. I did. And I hope you did, and I hope you got something from this reading. And so that brings us to the end of the chapter, and I'm hoping you did this. And again, if you don't have the book and you are interested in it, please go to my website and check it out, tonechaserbook.com. And as I mentioned, you can also find it on Amazon, eBay, Reverb, and Etsy. And that's about it. So I hope you're digging this. And if you have any thoughts about what you'd like to hear me reading next, give me a shout on my Instagram. And we'll see what we can do. Okay, everybody? See you. Bye.